Hi, this is Rasika. Today I am going to present about network engineering. So what is network engineer? This network engineering field is concerned with the development and maintenance of computer networks, and this field is also concerned with the development of network topologies, as well as it is also used in telephone switch network, which has been used for the design of hardware as well as the software tools. And coming to development of modern telecommunication infrastructure, here we are going to see about 6 things. First is public switch network. Next is signaling system 7. Next is public data network. Next is broadband cable system. Next is internet. Next is cellular telephone system. So first one, coming to public switch telephone network. This public switch telephone network is a circuit switch network which consists of telephone lines as well as fiber optic cables. And it is also used in digital telephone system, which is used for transmitting the digital data. And coming to signaling system 7, this is similar to public switch telephone network, and it was used to set up as well as tear down the telephone signals. Then coming to public data network, it is used to transmit the data at a public level. It is a circuit switched as well as packet switched network where it can transmit the data in a digital format. Next thing is broadband cable system. This requires the cable connection for transmitting the data. That is, it needs the cable connection from the source to destination in order to transmit the data. And coming to internet, internet is a global system which has been interconnected with many computer networks, which uses a standard protocol called TCP/IP. Where TCP is nothing but transmission control protocol. And IP is nothing but it is an internet protocol. And coming to cellular telephone system, this cellular telephone system which consists of a radio network which has been fixed at a place, and it also consists of a different type of cell. So this each cell consists of a different type of frequencies in order to avoid the interference. If you are going to use the same frequency in this cell, then interference will occur. So in order to avoid these interference, we are going to set different frequencies in these type of cells. So this is all about cellular telephone system. Next, we are going to see about today's existing network infrastructure. Here we are going to connect a different network like satellite network, cellular telephone network, private enterprise network, wireless network, local area network, broadband cable network, PSTN, that is public switch telephone network, internet. So in this way, then different type of networks has been interconnected in order to share the resource and information. And this information can also be transmitted to the personal computer, mobile, and also to the server. So in this way, these networks has been interconnected in order to transmitting the resources as well as the information. This is the way today's network. This is the way that the today's network will exist. And next we are going to see the OSI model for networking. OSI is nothing but it is an open system interconnection. So it consists of a 7 layer. Coming to first thing, it is a physical layer. Second one is data link layer. Third is network layer. Fourth is transport layer. layer. Sixth is presentation layer. Seventh is application layer. So coming to this physical layer is used to transmit the data at an electrical level as well as the mechanical level. And coming to data link layer, in this the data packets has been encoded into bits. And in network layer, it performs some switching as well as routing functions. This transport layer, which is used to transfer the data to the application layer, and the session layer, which establishes, manages and also controls the data to this application layer, and this presentation layer, which is used to transfer the data that the application layer can accept. And coming to application layer, this application layer provides some application services to FTP as well as some emails. FTP is nothing but file transfer protocol. So these are the 7 layers of this OSI layer model. And next we are going to see is wireless network application. Here we are going to see about two things like voice network evolution and data network evolution. So first thing we are going to see about voice over internet protocol, that is VoIP. This is the architecture of voice over internet protocol. Here we are going to see first thing is call agent / SIP server. This call agent / SIP server, which has been present in this IP network server provided one, and this call agent, which is used to control the call as well as it maintains the call in this architecture. And coming to SIP server, this SIP server, it routes the call, that is it forwards the call to this SIP client. And the function of SIP client, it terminates the SIP signaling to this SIP phone. SIP is nothing but session initiation protocol. Next we are going to see this service broker. This service broker, it is also present in this IP network service provider, which has been present at the edge of this IP network service provider. And this service broker, which provides some services to this application server, media server as well as this call agent / SIP server. Next we are going to see this application server. This application server is nothing but it provides one or more application services which has not been hoisted in this call agent / SIP server. And once this call agent, it also routes the call to this application server when the services has been invoked. And coming to next thing we are going to see is media server. This media server is nothing but it is also present in this IP network service provider, and it uses an control protocol named H.248. It uses this control protocol to control this application server as well as call agent / SIP server. And coming to bandwidth manager. Next we are going to see about bandwidth manager. Bandwidth manager, it uses the source and destination path, and it is also used to set up the band and also to tear down this band. That's why we are going to use this bandwidth manager in this IP network service provider. Next we are going to see edge router. Edge router is nothing but it forwards the IP traffic to this IP network service. And next we are going to this access concentrator. This access concentrator, which provides some connection to this subscriber gateway as well as this bridge router. And next we are going to see this access gateway. Access gateway is nothing but it is used to provide some connection to this phones, as well as it is under the control of call agent / SIP server and this media server. So since it is under the control of this media server it uses a control protocol called H.248. And coming to subscriber gateway. So this subscriber gateway, which should contain the customer premises as well as the termination part, that is it terminates the wireless area network, and the subscriber gateway which supports both voice as well as data. Next we are going to see this bridge router. Bridge router is similar to this subscriber gateway. The only difference is it does not support the voice. Then coming to IP/PBX. This IP/PBX, it interacts with this call agent /SIP server. It also supports both voice as well as the data. And coming to signaling gateway. So this signaling gateway, which acts like a gateway between this call agent /SIP server and PSTN. PSTN is nothing but public switch telephone network. And coming to trunking gateway. This trunking gateway, which is also similar to this signaling gateway, and it acts like a gateway between this IP network service provider to this time division multiplex PSTN. This is a difference between this signaling gateway and this trunking gateway. So these are the things that we are seeing in this architecture. So in this way the voice gets transmitted over this voice over internet protocol architecture. This is a cloud computing architecture. And the protocols used in this voice over internet protocol is H.223 and next is MGCP. MGCP is nothing but medium gateway control protocol. This medium gateway control protocol, which is used to provide the media between this call agent /SIP server and to this PSTN. Next is SIP. SIP is nothing but session initiation protocol. This session initiation protocol, which is used to provide the communication session between this IP network and to this PSTN, is nothing but packet switch telephone network. And next we are going to see is RTP. RTP is nothing but real time transport protocol. So this real time transport protocol, which is used for some audio as well as video purpose. And next we are going to see SDP. SDP is nothing but session description protocol. This session description protocol, which acts as a media for this call agent /SIP server. And next we are going to see is inter-ASTIC exchange. This inter-ASTIC exchange is nothing but it consists of many soft switches as well as PBX. It uses this IP network, which is used for transmitting the data between the source as well as destination, that is between server and client. Next, Jingle XMPP VoIP extension. XMPP is nothing but extensible messaging and presence protocol. This protocol, which has been used for this multimedia purpose in this voice over internet protocol. Next, we are going to see about this adoption. Here we are going to adopt this VoIP in consumer market, PSTN mobile network provider, and it is also used for some corporate use. Advantage of this voice over internet protocol is it is an operational cost and it is also very portability. And it also requires some key elements. So some of the key elements which we are going to see is security, quality of service, reliability, migration path, OS support, building, network interconnection. So security, it should provide some security for this voice over internet protocol, and it should contain some quality of services, and it should be reliable. And the migration path, that is it should contain a migration path, that is migration from one place to another place, and it should contain some OS support as well as building and network interconnection. So these are the key requirements which should need for this voice over internet protocol. And coming to IP multimedia subsystem, that is IMS. This is the next generation networking which has been used for this telecom, and it also uses this VoIP network architecture. It supports some existing services and also it supports many new services. And it is an open standard IP protocol by IETF. IETF is nothing but Internet Engineering Task Force. So this Internet Engineering Task Force which provides a good quality of internet. So this is all about this voice over internet protocol. Next we are going to see about this test approach. Test approach can be done in three ways. First we are going to see motivation for different types of testing. In that we are going to see first one is proof of concept testing. So in this proof of concept testing can be done before, if you are going to design any new network, before that we have to do a testing called proof of concept testing. This should, if the test result is successful, then it goes to a low level of design. And this proof of concept testing, it is also mandatory. And when coming to network readiness testing, this network readiness testing which has been used in prior to the Cisco communication, Cisco Unified Communication, which has to make some real-time application. In this network readiness testing, we have to check whether the production network is meeting the required real-time applications or not. Next is design verification testing. This design verification testing, this is the final level of testing where we are going to test the equipment under many stress conditions, and we are going to see whether the result is successful or not. Next we are going to see about hardware certification testing. This hardware certification testing, in this testing we are going to include some new features in order to take the performance as high and to maintain the capabilities of this equipment. So next we are going for test scoping. In this first thing we are going to see is categorize the type of test. So here we are going to categorize the test as proof of concept. Like if you are going to design any network, at that time you are going to test by using this proof of concept. And next is network readiness testing, where we are going to test the production network is meeting the real-time application. Next is design verification testing, where we are going to test the equipment whether it is working under many stressed conditions. In this way we are going to categorize the type of test. Next, identify the project stakeholders. In this first we are going to see responsible. So the person who is responsible, the person who is responsible for taking the testing process. Next is accountable. So if the process is not complete, then this person may manage the task to complete the task. And next we are going to see informed. So the person who is taking care of this testing should get informed. And next we are going to see identify the indicators of the test success. Here we are going to classify as two. test pass criteria and test fail criteria. So in this test pass criteria, here if you are going to test the equipment and if the equipment gets successful, then it comes under test pass criteria. If any defects, like if 1 or 2 defects has been found, then if there is any solution, then no problem, then it comes under this pass criteria. And even if any one defect is found and if there is no solution for that, then it comes under this fail criteria. And if the product it does not meet with some key requirements and it does not satisfy the customer, then it also comes under this fail criteria. Next, estimating the resource. Estimating the resource is nothing but, here first we are going to plan. For this we need a high skilled person. And next is lab assembly. For lab assembly we need a low skilled person. Next is plant execution. For this, a medium to high level skilled person is required. And next is result execution. For result execution, we need a medium to high skilled person. So in this way, we are going to estimate this resource. Next is identifying the risk. So we have to identify the risk during this testing process. The risk occurs when the person is not a skilled person, then at the time the risk will occur. If the person is going to leave the group or if the person is going to leave the company, so at this time a risk will occur. And if the product is not satisfying the customer, then at this time also we have to face with some risk. So we have to identify the risk before going through this testing purpose. And next is identify the timeline for completion. We have to put an timetable for this testing. So first thing, for objective we need 1 week, and for planning we need 2 weeks, and for lab assembly we need 2 weeks, and for execution we need 2 weeks, and for putting documentation and some analysis purpose we need 1 week. So we have to maintain this timetable for testing purpose. And next comes test planning. So test suite and test case which is used to test the product whether it is working correctly or not. And we have to choose the right tools for testing and writing the test plan, and we have to write the overall scope as well as the objective of the testing, and we have to find what are the resources that has been required for testing this product. And test schedule, we have to test the schedule, that we have to put the timetable for testing in this order. So these are the test planning. So these are the test approach we are going to implement in this. Next, coming to network architecture standard. In this, first we are going to see is network architecture tiers. So we consist of 3 tiers, like first one is demilitarized zone. Next is application tier. Next is database tier. So first coming to demilitarized zone, it is the outermost layer when compared to this application tier, and it is in web tier or web layer. It also consists of proxy servers and some email gateways. And coming to this application layer, it lies between this database layer as well as this demilitarized zone. This application layer which acts as a business logic layer which also retrieve the information, and also it is used to delete the information. And coming to this database tier, this is the innermost tier of an N architecture. So here the data will be neutral as well as it is independent. And this database tier, it also can retrieve the data and it also can delete the data. So this is the network architecture tiers. Next we are going to see a 3-tier architecture which consists of an data tier, application tier as well as DMZ, which has been separated by a firewall proxy. Like if this is a data layer which has been separated by a firewall proxy, and this is an application layer which has been separated by a firewall proxy, and this is an DMZ which has been separated by this firewall proxy. Data, application, web server. So this method we call it as a 3-tier architecture. So in which the three types like data tier, application tier, DMZ, which has been separated by this firewall proxy method. And this is web application firewall or proxy requirements. It consists of, it provides positive as well as negative security models, and then it avoids some data leakages. Coming to Z/OS architecture. In this, we are going to combine this data tier, application tier and DMZ as in one layer. So this combining data tier, web server as well as application tier can be done only in this Z/OS architecture. And this can be separated by this firewall proxy. So in this, it consists of application tier, web server and data link layer, which has been combined in this Z/OS, and it has been given to the firewall proxy, and it has been connected to WAF and to this public like internet. So this is all about Z/OS architecture. Next we are going to see MPLS. MPLS is nothing but multi-protocol label switching. So this multi-protocol label switching is nothing but it is an internet protocol switching. It is a dynamic as well as transparent virtual network. It chooses and shortest path bandwidth for its communication. And this MPLS, which consists of an header, and it also consists of a label, and this label we call it as a stack labels. It also consists of 4 fields. First is 20-bit label value. Second is 3-bit traffic class field QoS. QoS is nothing but quantity of service. And ECN. This is expressive congestion notification. And 1-bit bottom of stack flag. If the flag is set, then it is at the last position. Next, 8-bit TTL. TTL is nothing but time to live field. This is all about this multi-protocol label switching. Next, we are going to see about this type allocation code, that is TAC. TAC, which is being used to find the model of this mobile. So coming to TAC, it uses an initial 8-digit. It uses an initial 8-digit from this 15-digit IMEI code. IMEI is nothing but International Mobile Equipment Identity. So this has been used in GSM, that is Global System for Mobile Communication, UMTS or some other wireless network. And in 2004, this type allocation code that has been introduced with 6-digit, which has been followed by 2-digit, which is called as Final Assembly Code, that is FAC. And next we are going to see about NG-IP architecture, that is New Generation Internet Protocol Architecture. Here we are going to split as 3. First is Cloud Internet Interconnect. Next is Infrastructure Network. Next is Terminal. So in this Cloud Internet, it uses 40Gp to 100G Ethernet connection, which is used to get some high throughput, and it is also used for some upgradability. So by using this cloud internet, we can get an high throughput. And coming to infrastructure network, it is used to connect this data center in this cloud network connection to this terminals, which include PCS, mobiles and TVS. And this supports many wireless area network, as well as it is also a backbone for this campus network. And coming to terminal, it includes some PCS, mobile, TVS and video terminals, fast terminals and thin terminals. So in this way, the data communication takes place over this new generation IP network. And next we are going to see is IP routing. So IP routing, it is used for transmitting the packets from source to destination through a series of network or multiple network. It consists of BGP, is Border Gateway Protocol. Next is ISIS, that is Intermediate System to Intermediate System. Next is RIP, that is Routing Information Protocol. Next is OSPF, that is Open Shortest Path First. So these are the things which has been found in this IEP routing. So in this router, if we need to forward the packets, then it forms the routing table at the hope for sending the packets to the destination. And in this we are going to see three things like transit, multi-home, and next is stub. So first, this is umbrella-like structure. This RIP routing will be in umbrella-like structure. So this is like umbrella-like structure. This is stub. This is multi-home. This is transit stage. Where this stub should be connected to only one. That is, it has only one connection to this autonomous system. This stub it is also having one connection to the other autonomous system. But this transit it consists of two connection to this autonomous system. This multi-home this consists of three connection to one another autonomous system. So this is the difference between this transit, multi-home and this stub. And coming to BGP, that is Border Gateway Protocol. This is an IP autonomous routing domain. And OSPF, this is Open Shortest Path First, which has a standardized link state routing protocol, as well as it also supports a layer network. And ISIS, that is Intermediate System to Intermediate System, which support IP, that is Internet Protocol, as well as it also supports the OSA, that is Open System Interconnection. So this is of about this IP routing. Next, we are going to see QoS in IP network and traffic engineering. Here, first thing is, this QoS is nothing but quality of service. It is used to find the delay, jitter, throughput, etc. And it is it differ in architecture and also used for packet forwarding, and it is also by using this QoS we can maintain the traffic. And coming to traffic engineering, it is in user and system oriented objective where the performance it also perform good, and it also have different IP server, and it also supports MPLS. And coming to Cisco routing and Cisco platforms, here IP version 6 it includes that host has been attached to this products. And coming to Cisco 1200 series router, here it consists of the slot capacity of this Cisco routing is of about 16 slot, and the throughput we get is 40 gigabits per second, and switching capacity is 1000 to 80 gigabits per second. When coming to Cisco 6500 series switch, here the slot capacity is of about 80 gigabits per second, and it is a virtual switching system. And coming to Cisco 3800 series, here it supports two systems of images. In this process, it is an IP-based system which includes the QoS, is nothing but quality of service, and IP systems service which provides unicast and multicast. Unicast is nothing but it is used for transmitting the data in only one destination path, and multicast is nothing but it is used to transmitting the data in multiple destination port. It consists of multiple destination port. So next is Cisco 2800 series. It has built-in security of about 2000 megabits per second. Next, coming to Cisco 1800 series, it has an 800 VPN tunnels. VPN is nothing but virtual private network. So it consists of an 800 virtual private network, and its switching port capability is of about 100 megabits per second. And coming to Juniper MS series, this series is of about 960. Here it consists of a router and layer 2 layer 3 Ethernet platform. It has a multi-point connectivity. So it has a multi-point connectivity. It has 16 slot router with 480 gigabits, and it also has a high throughput performance, and it has a 44 gigabit Ethernet, and it also has a 4-port 10 GP Ethernet DCP. These are some features of this Juniper MX960. And coming to Huawei routers and switches, here it comes of any series router ARG3 router. ARG3 is nothing but this ARG is an argument which has wireless LAN and 3GP, and CPE router ARG3 in which consists of a built-in voice, and it has a very high speed portability, and it also consists of a Wi-Fi connection of about 3G as well as 4G. And coming to AR1220BW1, AR2220, AR2240, which consists of a fixed station with some dial-up link. So these are some of the Huawei routers and switches. Next, 35300. These are all the things are like switches, which has this switch which consists of a gigabyte, and it also includes 10 gigabytes of an uplink for some customers. And coming to S5306TP-Li, this switches which consists of 4 ports, and it consists of a 2 GB combo ports, and it also supports AC. When coming to S5324TP-Si, this switches which consists of 20 ports, and it also consists of 4 GB combo boards. It supports both AC as well as DC. When coming to the switch S5324TP-Si, this switch consists of 20 ports and 4 GB combo boards. It uses AC as well as USB ports. So these are some of the routers and switches which has been formed in this Huawei routers and switches. So this is all about network engineering. Thank you.